Hello class, this is Biochemistry Module 20 out of 23. So we only have 21, 22, and 23 left for our biochemistry. Your exam would be on 16. So Biochemistry Module 20, digestion, absorption, and metabolism. We have that kind of we also have that in our pharmacy, but we have LADME, liberation, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So this is the shortest biochemistry, no? But in pharmacy, we have LADME. We have the liberation, absorption, paano ginabsorb ang drug, the distribution of the drug, the metabolism, where we will metabolize the drug, and the excretion. It's not only in the drug but also in the food. Now, a process which is hydrolytic in nature and catalyzed by enzyme. Wait lang. Okay, making sure that the microphone is on. So, a process which is hydrolytic in nature and catalyzed by enzymes, in which complex food material is changed into simple molecule which can be absorbed by the body and from the small intestine and eventually carried to various tissues where they are needed. So, not all food require digestion. We have monosaccharides, vitamins, and inorganic salts. So they are accompanied by specific enzyme which hydrolyze CHO, monosaccharides, and fats, now composed of glycerol and fatty acids. So there are major anatomic location in the overall digestive process. We have organ and function. So salivary gland, fluid and digestive enzymes, stomach, ang hydrochloric acid and the proteases, pancreas. We have the function na sodium bicarbonate and enzymes for intraluminal digestion. We have liver for bile acids, and gallbladder, storage and concentration of the bile. Dara kita makuha sang storage and the concentration of the bile. We have small intestine, terminal digestion of food, absorption of nutrients and electrolyte. Ang large intestine, absorption of water and electrolytes, storage of waste. We have 3 phases of digestion. So this is the salivary digestion, also known as cephalic phase. Now, take note of that. Salivary digestion is also known as cephalic phase or reflex phase. It is relatively brief, takes place before food enters the stomach, especially while it is eaten. It results from sight, smell, thought, or taste of food. The greater the appetite, the more intense is the stimulation, meaning your salivary digestion, no? Kung the greater the appetite, the more intense is the stimulation in your salivary digestion. Depression and loss of appetite can suppress the cephalic reflex. Depression could also cause overeating or not having an appetite for eating. And secretion, secreted by 3 pairs of glands. We have parotid, submaxillary, and sublingual. So the daily output of our saliva is 1.5 liter, or kung convert siya sa ml, 1,500 ml. Sorry. They're composed of 99.5 water and 0.5 solids, inorganic salts, no, NH3, urea, uric acid, mucin, and makes the salivary slippery, and the enzyme pitalin, no, salivary amylase natin. So the specific gravity of our saliva is SPGR na siya, usually ang aton yung ginagamit niya abbreviation, no? The pH optimum is 6.8 to 7.2. The resting saliva, no, is 6.4 to 6.9. And the active stimulation is 7 to 7.3. We have composition of saliva varies due to secretion of the glands. No, more watery, rich in ptyalin and meaning parotid glands is the responsible for it. More viscous, less ang ptyalin. No? Kung more watery, rich ang ptyalin. Kung more viscous, less in ptyalin. So, sa submaxillary, also known as the submandibular and the sublingual glands, is the responsible for it. So, we have mechanical. No? Mechanical meaning mastication or chewing of the food. When you are mastication, it is a mechanical digestion. No? Kind of mechanical digestion. Kaya chew ikaw. You're moving your jaws, no? And the chemical, especially taste, no, in acids, no, and the psychic reflex stimulation due to sight, smell, or thought of food. So loss of carbon dioxide. So components of saliva, we have many components of saliva. One is water. No, it is the major component comprising almost 99% of the volume. So we have electrolyte. We have sodium, potassium, phosphate, chloride, bicarbonate, calcium, and magnesium. We have mucus, a mixture of mucopolysaccharide and glycoprotein high in sialic acid and sulfated sugar mixed with water to form a lubricant to ease of swallowing. We have alpha amylase. Alpha amylase is secreted by acinar cells of the parotid and some mandibular glands digest starch into glucose. We have lingual lipase, initiates hydrolysis of dietary fat in stomach and facilitates the duodenal jejunal hydrolysis of triglyceride. We have lysosome. Now, lysosome is another component of the saliva, which is antibacterial enzyme that hydrolyzes beta-1,4 glycosidic linkage between N-acetylmuramic acid and N-acetyl-D or dextrorotatory glucosamine in bacterial cell wall peptidoglycans. We have calerkin, secreted by acinar cells of three major salivary gland, cleaves high molecular weight kininogen or HMWK, releasing the vasodilator or bradykinin. We have opioorphin, pain-killing, member of endogenous opioid family. So opioid, no, meaning painkiller. And we have heptocorrin, bind vitamin B2 to protect it from the degradation in the stomach before it is bound to intrinsic factor. We have functions of salivary digestions. Actually, ari na ni sa inyo nga anatomy in fisio. We will just go over. To begin the digestion of starch, principal enzyme, ptyalin or salivary amylase, no? Makadto siya dayon sa starch, and then soluble starch, and then makadto siya sa amylodextrin going to erythrodextrin and arachidextrin and maltose. To moisten or lubricate the food for easier swallowing, we have mucin going to glycoprotein. To provide correct pH for salivary digestion, we have mucin or one of the chief buffer of saliva. Buffers, no, it could maintain the pH of the chemical, no, that is called buffer. And for protection of the inner linings of the buccal cavity and the other internal body cavities. For cleansing the teeth and gums, saliva carries the intrinsic anemia factor. We have gastric digestion or sa stomach na siya. So the first thing nga mahambal nyo, what is the first process in digestion? Syempre, ang aton nga mastication, hindi ang aton nga stomach, ha? Also known as gastric phase. Chief purpose, breakdown of protein with the combined action of hydrochloric acid, and enzymes. So it lasts for 3 to 4 hours and begins once the food arrives in the stomach. It builds on stimulation provided during the cephalic phase. So gastric acid and enzyme process the ingested materials. The gastric phase is stimulated by number 1, distension of the stomach. So number 2, a decrease in the pH of gastric content. Meaning, kung magnubo ang iyaton nga pH, no? Meaning, acidic kita. And when you're hungry, ano gani? Medyo gasakit ang aton tiyan, no? So, if you are hungry, this is your stomach. And you're always hungry, class. And this is your lining, for example. And diri ang acid. Kung magtaas ng acidic naton, ang acid naton, matin ni siya. Amo na nga may mga may mga ulcer, ano kita, may mga sakit kita sa tiyan, when you're, especially if you're not eating very well, no, because of that, no, we have a gastric content in our digestive system. So once nga magutman kita, it will tell, once we are hungry, our brain will tell that it's time to eat, and the brain will control your digestive system to increase your acidity para mabalaan sang aton lawas, or para mabalaan mo, no, nga gutom ka na. And that is where we have problems sometimes because we do not eat properly, and on the same time, no, on the proper time and the proper food, no. What if gutom ka tapos inom ka lang sang coke? So it will increase more sang acid natin and the presence of undigested material. So the phase consists of local, hormonal, and neural responses, and these responses stimulate secretion and powerful contraction. So local, gutom ka. Kung hormonal, especially girls, no, if you're craving for something, and if you're manog PMS ka, or you are having your monthly period, usually ga-crave ka food, no, and the neural responses. So gastric secretion is stimulated chiefly by the 3 chemical. No, we have acetylcholine, or ang ACH, histamine, and gastrin. So ang histamine naton, paano man? Histamine. If you ingested something nga medyo maka-trigger ang aton allergy, sometimes it also triggers our stomach, no? Acetylcholine, or ang ACH, this is secreted by the parasympathetic nerve fibers of both and short and long reflex pathway. Ano ganing parasympathetic naton? Ang parapahuway, meaning ang aton nga ang aton nga tiyan, I already made this table. I will just look it up again, and I will send you table of parasympathetic and sympathetic effects. So we have histamine. This is paracrine secretion from the enteroendocrine cells in the gastric gland. Gastrin, this is a hormone produced by enteroendocrine G cells in the pyloric gland. We have gastric juice, a digestive fluid of the stomach, a clear pale yellow liquid, pH 1 to 6 to 1 to 8. We have the specific gravity of 1.003, and the composition of gastric juice, HCl secreted by the parietal cells of the stomach, by 0.2 to 0.5%. It provides correct pH for gastric digestion, germicidal action against pathogenic bacteria swallowed with food, activates the enzyme pepsinogen, and has some swallowing action in proteins, and then pepsin secreted by the chief cells of the stomach, or ang aton niya, CHON, proteoses and peptones. Renin, a protease enzyme which cause coagulation of milk. Ari ni sa aton niya term 2, no? Ang renin, found in the stomach, calves, kids, and newly born infant. No? Casein going to para casein. So we have lipase. Its use is to fat splitting enzyme. Very little digestion of fat takes place in the stomach. Milk and egg yolk partially ingested by lipase. We have the pathology. No? Anong mga pathology natin? We have achlorhydria, absence of free hydrochloric acid, meaning kulang ka sa acidity, and associated with pernicious anemia or stomach cancer. We have chlorhydria or hypoacidity. Abnormally low concentration of acid may lead to stomach cancer, chronic constipation, or inflammation of the stomach. We have chlorhydria or hyperacidity, usually more amount of HCl associated with peptic or duodenal ulcer, inflammation of the gallbladder. So when you have this kind of hypoacidity, no, you will drink HCl. How to drink HCl? For example, this is the glass, and dapat may straw na siya, class. No? You will drink that. Nga kilanlan ta straw. Because when you drink HCl, your teeth, no, ang teeth natin maguba. Especially the acidity that we, So, dapat diretso sa stomach para may ara kita acid to replace it. So, ang aton naman nga bulong for hyperacidity, we have Kremil S. We have, ano pagid gani na? Kremil S, Gaviscon. So, kung makita nyo sa inyo nga Gaviscon, may ara kita dara nga magnesium oxide and aluminum oxide. So, ang aton nga difference, aton na nga palatandaan, no? Kung magnesium, magtatae, meaning may ara ka nga, diarrhea. Kung masobrahan ikaw. Alatae, meaning constipation. Again, now when we have Kremil S and Gaviscon as treatment for our hyperacidity, meaning dulaon niya ang aton nga i-neutralize kaya this is basic ni sila nga mga bulong. And Kremil S and Gaviscon have this kind of composition, no, when it comes to the drug. We have magnesium oxide and aluminum oxide. So, ang aton nga palatandaan is magtatae, meaning diarrhea. When you're going to drink aluminum oxide in a larger quantity, magkaka-constipate ka, alatae, no? Alatae. This is magtatae. So, a little bit of pickle, no, for you. Pharmacology for you. Okay, we have intestinal digestion, also known as intestinal phase, begins with chyme enters the small intestine, triggering digestive secretion. So the chyme is a thick semi-fluid mass of partly digested food that is passed from the stomach to the duodenum. This phase controls the rate of gastric emptying, and in addition to gastrin emptying. When chyme enters the small intestine, it triggers other hormonal and neural events that coordinate the activities of intestinal tract, pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. We have intestinal phase. Intestinal gastrin briefly stimulate the stomach, but then secrete GP or CCK and the enterogastric reflex inhibit gastric secretion and motility, while the duodenum processes and the chyme already in it. Though parasympathetic nerve fiber supplies gastric activity, while vagal parasympathetic stimulation of the stomach is now inhibited. We have 3 digestive fluid. We have number 1, pancreatic juice secreted by the pancreas. Our DD output is 650 ml and stimulated by the hormonal secrete liberated from intestinal mucosa by acid present in the chyme. Anyways, we have slightly alkaline, no? pH natin is 7. Aton nga neutral is 7. So, ang pH natin is 8. Composition, 98.7% water, 1.3 solid digestive enzymes, albumin, globulin, proteoses, peptones, sodium chloride, and sodium bicarbonate. We have enzymes in the pancreatic juice. We have trypsin, hydrolysis, proteins, proteoses, and peptones to polypeptide and amino acids. We have chymotrypsin, hydrolysis, protein, proteoses, peptones to polypeptide and amino acid sin. We have carboxy polypeptide, hydrolyzed polypeptide to simpler peptides and amino acids. Starts at the end of the chain where there is free COOH group and splits off the amino acid. We have pancreatic amylase, or ang aton nga name, another name is amylopsin, hydrolyzes starch to amylose, same manner as the ptyalin but with a greater digestive power ang aton nga pancreatic amylase. We have pancreatic lipase, hydrolyzes fat into glycerol and fatty acid responsible for most of the fat digestion of the food. Number 2, we have intestinal juice or succisen tericus, secreted by the intestinal mucosa, complete digestion of dipeptide and disaccharide. Dipeptide, amino acids ang ara nga sa aton sa dipeptide. We have sucrose, we have glucose and fructose, ang combination niya. We have lactose, lactose is glucose and galactose. We have maltose, glucose plus glucose. Also contains lecithinase or digestion of lecithin, and nucleases, digestion of nucleic acid. We have bile, brownish yellow. Plus, when you're having a lot of acidity, tapos nagsuka ka mo, and you taste na daw may pagka-bitter ang inyong suka, that is your bile. It is alkaline fluid, no? It has a bitter taste. So, kung nagsuka ka mo sobra, for example, nag-inom ka mo, no? Nag-party ka mo, nag-go ka mo sa bar, and then pagka later on, no? Wala unod dyan yun, nag-inom ka mo kagabi, and then nagsuka ka mo, most probably, that yellowish brown or brownish yellow that you see in the sink is your bile, and continuously formed in the liver and concentrated in the gallbladder. Normal person produces 500 to 800 ml of day. Sorry, York, come here. And we have not a digestive juice because it contains no enzyme. So we have cholecystokinin hormone, which causes the gallbladder to contract and empty the bile into the small intestine. So the function of bile is emulsifying agent. Emulsifying agent siya, meaning to be one, no? Ang aton bala nga mga gingkaon, for example, you eat vegetables and then you eat meat. Paano na siya nga as one para mas mayong ang pagdigest? It has to be emulsified, and when you have to emulsify it, you need a bile in your stomach for transport and absorption of fatty acid, secretion of certain waste products. We have composition. Ang bile salts composed of sodium glycocholate and sodium taurocolate. So, glycocholate is sodium plus glycine plus cholic acid, and the taurine, glycoglycine. So its function as emulsifying agent again, and for transport and absorption of fatty acids. So we have bile pigment. Principal bile pigment, bilirubin. Ang red pigment, biliverdin. Verdin is verde, green. Bilirubin, red, rubin. In oxidized form, both are formed in the liver from disintegrated HB to RBC or red blood cells. Hemoglobin, main body component, average life of our red blood cells is 4 months only. So we have cholesterol excreted from the body through bile, precipitates in the form of gallstones, biliary calculi due to the foreign substance, injured cells, bacterial or bacteria, pigments. We have salt or sodium bicarbonate or sodium bicarbonate, water, H2O. We have pathology, jaundice, yellowing of the skin and the sclera, which is the white portion of the eyes, and due to the impaired liver function, rapid decomposition of RBC than the normal. We have hormones of the digestive system. We have gastrin. Gastrin is the stomach that stimulates the gastric gland to secrete pepsinogen and HCl. The secretion of gastrin is stimulated by food arriving to the stomach, and the secretion is inhibited by low pH. Secretin. Secretin is in the duodenum and signal the secretion of sodium bicarbonate in the pancreas, and it stimulates the secretion of bile in the liver. This hormone responds to the acidity of the chyme. And we have cholecystokinin or CCK is the duodenum and stimulate the release of digestive enzyme in the pancreas and stimulate the emptying of bile in the gallbladder. This hormone is secreted in response to the fat in the chyme. We have gastric inhibitory peptide. Gastric inhibitory peptide is the duodenum and decreases stomach churning in order to slow the emptying of the stomach. Another function to induce insulin secretion. Motilin. Motilin is in the duodenum and increases the migrating myoelectric complex component of gastrointestinal motility and stimulate the production of pepsin. We have somatostatin, stops the release of hydrochloric acid. Appetite regulating hormones. We have ghrelin, a hormone that is released in the stomach and targets the pituitary gland, signaling to the body that it needs to eat. And we have PYY, it is released by the hypothalamus. Ara na sa aton nga brain. Balaan nyo na-discuss na sa inyo in your anatomy and physiology, and signal that you have just eaten and helps to suppress your appetite. We have insulin aids in suppressing the appetite after we have just eaten and there is a rise of blood glucose level. We have leptin produced by adipose fat tissues and target the hypothalamus, which also helps to suppress appetite. So again, being fat is not about having a problem like gutom ka permi. Sometimes, it has to do with hormones. If you look at Moira before, she is very healthy, and because of hormones, she became healthy, and then when she regulate it already, she becomes so slim. So, amo niya siya sometimes, class. It's not about you just like food, but sometimes it's about hormones, and you have to have good or have a healthy balance in your hormones. That is why para mag-iwang kita. Again, that is Biochemistry Module 20, and thank you and God bless.